You ever sit on a train and just watch people? Not in a creepy way, but just observe?
Sure, people watching is normal. But why do I feel like this is about to get unsettling?
Because it is. Imagine you take the same train every single day, at the same time, past the same houses. You don't know the people inside, but you start making up stories about them. That's exactly what happens in The Girl on the Train.
Wait, this is a book?
Yeah, and it starts with Rachel, the main character. Every morning, she takes the train into London. And every morning, at the same stop, she sees this one house, a perfect house, with a perfect couple. She even gives them names, Jess and Jason.
That's a little weird. Naming strangers?
It gets weirder. She convinces herself she knows them. Their love, their routine, their happiness. It's her escape. Because her own life, a complete wreck.
What's wrong with her life?
Everything. She's divorced, unemployed, and an alcoholic. But here's the kicker. Her ex-husband. He lives just a few doors down from this perfect couple with his new wife.
Wait, so every morning, she's riding past her old life, watching her ex move on? That's brutal.
And it messes with her head. She drinks too much. Blackouts. Gaps in her memory. Even she doesn't trust herself.
That's dangerous. If she can't remember things, how does she know what's real?
She doesn't. And that's what makes this terrifying. One morning, she's staring out that train window, watching her perfect couple like always. But then, she sees something shocking, something that shouldn't be happening.
What does she see?
That's the problem. Rachel doesn't know if what she saw is real, or if it's just another trick of her broken mind.
And I'm guessing whatever she saw wasn't harmless, was it?
Far from it, because shortly after, the woman she's been watching, Jess, or rather, Megan, goes missing.
No, that's not a coincidence.
Exactly. And Rachel, she might be the only one who knows the truth, if she can remember it. Rachel's obsession with this couple isn't just a passing curiosity, it's her escape. Every morning, when she sees them from the train, she convinces herself they have everything she lost. A perfect marriage, a perfect life. She even imagines their conversations, their love story.
That's unsettling. She doesn't know them at all, but in her head, she's made them into this fantasy?
Exactly. And the more she watches, the more real it feels to her. But here's where things take a turn. One morning, like always, Rachel is on the train, watching them. But this time, something is different.
What exactly does she see that's so different this time?
She sees Jess, or rather, Megan, on the terrace. But she's not with her husband. She's with another man. And it's not just casual. They're close, intimate.
That must have shattered her whole illusion.
More than that, Rachel feels betrayed. And it doesn't make sense, right? These are strangers. She has no real connection to them. But in her mind, they were perfect. And now, suddenly, that's gone.
She's emotionally attached to people she's never even spoken to. That's dangerous.
And here's where it gets worse. Rachel's already drinking too much, losing control. Seeing this betrayal, it pushes her over the edge. She gets drunk, really drunk. That night, she doesn't just sit on the train and watch.
Wait, what does she do?
She gets off at their stop.
No, that's a terrible idea.
It is, and here's the scariest part. Rachel doesn't remember what happens next.
What do you mean she doesn't remember?
She blacks out hours of her life. Just gone. The next morning, she wakes up covered in bruises, with a splitting headache. And the worst part? Megan is missing.
No, that's not a coincidence.
Exactly. And Rachel, she was there. She just doesn't remember what she did.
This is bad. Rachel blacks out the same night Megan disappears? That can't be a coincidence.
That's exactly what makes this terrifying. Rachel wakes up the next morning in her apartment, hungover, disoriented, and bruised. There's dried blood on her hands, but she has no idea how it got there.
That's not just drinking too much. That's losing control completely. Does she even know where she went?
Not exactly. Just flashes, rain, gravel under her hands, someone's voice. But it's all jumbled. And then, On the news, she sees it. Megan is missing.
That has to shake her. I mean, she was obsessed with this woman, and now she's just gone?
It shakes her to the core. She tries to piece together that night, but it's like chasing shadows. The only thing she knows for sure, she was there, in that neighborhood.
And she's the last person who saw Megan before she disappeared.
Maybe. Or maybe she knows more than she realizes. The problem is, she can't trust her own memory.
So what does she do?
This is where Rachel makes a dangerous decision. She inserts herself into the investigation. She goes to the police, tells them she might have seen something.
But she was drunk. She doesn't even remember. How can they take her seriously?
They don't. The police see her for what she is, a lonely, unstable alcoholic who spends too much time watching strangers from a train window. They brush her off.
That has to be frustrating. She thinks she knows something, but no one believes her?
Exactly. So she does something even riskier. She reaches out to Megan's husband, Scott.
Hold on. The same man she's been watching from the train, the one she made up stories about, she just walks into his life?
Yes. She tells Scott she was a friend of Megan's, that she might know something. And here's the thing. Scott is devastated, desperate for answers. So he believes her.
That's dangerous. She's lying. She has no real connection to Megan. This could spiral out of control fast.
Oh, it does. Because the more she talks to Scott, the deeper she gets tangled in the lies. And the worst part, she starts to wonder, what if she isn't just a witness? What if she did something that night?
You're telling me there's a chance Rachel had something to do with Megan's disappearance, and she doesn't even know it?
That's the nightmare. And once she's in this web, there's no way out.
This is getting worse. Rachel isn't just watching from the train anymore. She's inside these people's lives. And the fact that she might have done something, that's terrifying.
It is. And the more she talks to Scott, the more she starts to believe her own lies. She convinces herself that Megan was unhappy, that she was in danger. But here's the thing. Rachel doesn't actually know anything. She's just filling in the gaps with her imagination.
That's dangerous. She's playing detective when she can't even trust her own memory.
Exactly. But it gets worse. Rachel starts having these flashes, pieces of that lost night. She remembers being in the underpass, stumbling, someone grabbing her arm, a man's voice. And the more she pushes, the more she starts to think, maybe it was Tom.
Tom? You mean her ex-husband?
Yes. He was there that night. And Rachel starts to question everything. What if he had something to do with Megan's disappearance?
I don't know. This woman is drunk, unstable, and obsessed with strangers. How do we even know she's remembering things the right way?
That's the terrifying part. We don't. Neither does she. And yet, Rachel keeps digging. She follows Megan's case, gets closer to Scott, and even reaches out to Megan's therapist, trying to figure out the truth.
Does she find anything that actually leads to the truth?
Not exactly. But she does uncover something shocking. Megan had secrets. Big ones. She wasn't the perfect wife Rachel imagined.
I mean, we already know she was having an affair, but you're saying it's worse than that?
Much worse. Megan had a dark past, full of things no one knew. And now, she's gone.
So the question isn't just what happened to Megan. It's who she really was.
Exactly. And Rachel, she's in way too deep to stop now.
So Rachel thought Megan had the perfect life. But now, the truth is starting to come out. Megan had secrets. What kind of secrets are we talking about?
The kind that make you wonder if she really disappeared, or if someone made her disappear. Rachel starts digging, and she learns that Megan wasn't just cheating on Scott. She had a pattern of running away, keeping things hidden.
Running away from what?
Her past. Years ago, before she even met Scott, Megan was involved in something tragic, something she never told anyone.
What do you mean by tragic? What exactly happened?
She once worked as a nanny. She had an affair with her boss, and while she was watching his child, the baby died.
Wait, are you saying she was responsible? What actually happened?
That's the thing. No one knows for sure. It was an accident. At least that's what Megan always said. But after that, she changed. She ran. Left everything behind.
And never told Scott?
Not a word. He thought he knew her, but Megan had been keeping this secret for years.
So this isn't just about her disappearance. This woman had a history of keeping things buried.
Exactly. And Rachel, in her obsession, keeps digging deeper. She even starts talking to Megan's therapist, Dr. Kamal Abdik.
That can't be normal. Just walking into a therapist's office, asking about someone else's life.
Not normal at all. But Rachel is desperate. She's convinced that if she can just piece everything together, she'll find out what happened to Megan.
So what does she find out?
She learns something chilling. Megan was seeing Kamal not just as a therapist, but as a lover.
Hold on. Megan was cheating on Scott with her therapist?
Yes, and suddenly, Rachel's story, her whole idea of Megan and Scott's perfect life, crumbles even more.
That means Kamal had a motive. Maybe Megan told him something, threatened to expose their affair.
That's exactly what Rachel starts to believe. And now, she has a new suspect.
So now Rachel thinks Kamal, Megan's therapist, might have had something to do with her disappearance. But does she have any real proof? Or is she just making things up again?
That's the problem. Rachel doesn't know what's real anymore. She's running on instinct, fueled by bits and pieces of memories and half-truths. But she's convinced Kamal is hiding something, so she starts following him.
Oh no, she's stalking the therapist now?
Pretty much. She watches him, tries to figure out his routine. One night, she even follows him home.
That's not just reckless, it's dangerous. What if he catches her?
He does, and when he confronts her, he isn't angry. He's calm. Too calm.
That's unsettling. If he were guilty, wouldn't he be more nervous?
That's exactly what Rachel starts to wonder. Kamal doesn't deny he had a relationship with Megan, but he insists he had nothing to do with her disappearance. And then he asks her something that shakes her. Why is she really doing this?
What does he mean?
He points out something obvious. Rachel has no real connection to Megan. She's chasing this mystery, getting involved in something dangerous. But why?
And she doesn't have an answer, does she?
Not really. But something about Kamal's words gets to her. She starts thinking, what if she's been looking in the wrong place all along?
You mean Kamal might be innocent?
Maybe. And if he is, that means the real threat is still out there. And worse, Rachel might be closer to it than she realizes.
So Rachel starts doubting Kamal. But if he's not the one who hurt Megan, then who is?
That's exactly what Rachel is trying to figure out. And then she gets a warning.
A warning? From who?
It's from Anna, Tom's wife.
Tom's wife? Why would she warn Rachel?
Because Rachel has been asking too many questions. Anna tells her to stay out of it, that she's causing trouble. And she says something else. She saw Rachel that night.
Wait, Anna saw Rachel? When?
The night Megan disappeared.
That's bad. If Anna saw Rachel near Megan's house, that means Rachel really was there.
Exactly. And Anna is convinced Rachel was out of control, drunk and dangerous. She even tells the police that Rachel might know more than she's admitting.
That's a huge problem. Rachel's already unreliable, and now there's a witness placing her at the scene.
And the worst part? Rachel still can't remember what happened. She has flashes, stumbling, arguing with someone, blood, but no clear memory.
This is spiraling fast. She wanted to solve a mystery, and now she might actually be a suspect.
And she starts to wonder, what if she really did do something terrible?
No way. She can't be the killer, right?
She doesn't know. And that's what makes this terrifying.
So now Rachel isn't just looking for answers, she's afraid of what she might find. What does she do next?
She keeps pushing. Even though she's terrified, even though she might not like the truth, she knows she has to remember that night.
But how? Her mind is a mess.
She starts retracing her steps, forcing herself to relive that night. She goes back to the underpass, to the place where she woke up bruised and bleeding. She sits there, trying to remember. And then, she does.
Wait, she remembers?
Not everything, but enough. A voice, a struggle, and something else. Someone was there with her.
Someone she knew?
She doesn't know yet, but she remembers hands grabbing her, shoving her, and a flash of something. Anger, rage, and then nothing.
That's terrifying. It means she wasn't just drunk and wandering around. Something happened to her.
Exactly. And now Rachel knows one thing for sure. She didn't just imagine the danger. She was in it.
And if someone attacked her that night, that means they might still be watching her now.
That's what she's afraid of. Because Rachel thought she was the one investigating. But what if someone else has been watching her this whole time?
So Rachel finally remembers something real. She was attacked that night. But if she doesn't know who did it, then she's still in danger.
Exactly. And now she's desperate to fill in the gaps. She keeps digging, trying to piece things together. And then something clicks.
Hold on, what do you mean?
The voice she heard that night. It wasn't just some random shouting. It was familiar.
Someone she knew? Who was it?
She can't place it at first. But then, when she's with Scott, something he says. It triggers a memory.
Wait, Scott? Megan's husband?
Yes. Rachel realizes she heard him that night.
That's huge. That means Scott was there when Megan disappeared.
Exactly. And suddenly, Rachel has a whole new theory. What if Scott found out Megan was cheating and lost control? What if he is the one who hurt her?
It makes sense. The husband is always a suspect, right?
Right. And Rachel believes she's finally figured it out, so she does something reckless. She goes back to Scott's house.
That's a terrible idea. If he really did hurt Megan, he's not going to let Rachel walk away.
That's what makes this so intense. Rachel thinks she's confronting a grieving husband, but what if she's walking straight into the hands of a killer?
So Rachel thinks she's figured it out. Scott was there that night, and she's walking straight into his house to confront him? That's insane.
It is. But Rachel is convinced she's finally about to get the truth. She tells Scott that she remembers hearing his voice the night Megan disappeared.
And how does he react?
At first, he's just confused. Then, he gets angry. He tells Rachel she's insane, that she's just another drunk who doesn't know what she's talking about.
That sounds like someone trying to cover up the truth.
That's exactly what Rachel thinks, until Scott says something that shakes her.
What does he say?
He tells Rachel that Megan wasn't just cheating on him with Kamal. She was pregnant.
Hold on, Megan was pregnant?
Yes, and here's the twist. Scott insists the baby wasn't his.
That changes everything. If Megan was pregnant with someone else's child, then there's a whole new motive in play.
Exactly. Rachel starts thinking, was Scott furious about the baby? Or did Megan tell the real father, and he made her disappear?
This just keeps getting worse. Did Scott know who the father was?
No. But now Rachel has a new suspect. Because if Megan was pregnant, there's only one person who would have the most to lose if the truth came out.
That could only be Kamal.
That's what Rachel thinks. And this time, she's not just suspicious, she's terrified.
So Megan was pregnant, and Scott says the baby wasn't his. That means someone else had a serious reason to keep her quiet.
Exactly. And Rachel's convinced it's Kamal. He was Megan's therapist. They were having an affair, and now it looks like he might have been the father of her child.
That gives him a strong motive. If Megan told him about the baby and he didn't want it, things could have turned violent.
That's exactly what Rachel fears. She thinks she's cracked the case. Kamal must have panicked, killed Megan, and covered it up. So she does something reckless.
Oh no, what now?
She goes to Kamal's house.
Why does she keep doing this? If she really thinks he's dangerous, why would she go there alone?
Because she wants to look him in the eye. She needs to see if he's lying. But when she gets there, something strange happens.
What happens?
Kamal doesn't act guilty. He doesn't run. He doesn't get defensive. Instead, he sits her down and calmly tells her something that shakes her to the core.
What does he say?
He admits that he and Megan were close, but he says he never hurt her. And then, he tells Rachel something that changes everything. Megan was terrified of someone before she disappeared.
Terrified of who?
That's the thing. Kamal doesn't know. Megan never told him a name, but she was scared, on edge. And whatever she was running from, it wasn't him.
That means Rachel was wrong about Kamal.
Maybe. But now, there's something even more terrifying. If Kamal didn't do it, then someone else did. And Rachel might have just wasted all this time looking in the wrong direction.
That's terrifying. Because if Megan knew she was in danger, then the real killer was someone she trusted. Someone who was close enough to get inside her life without her realizing it.
Exactly. And Rachel's starting to wonder, what if she's been staring at the answer this whole time and just didn't see it?
So Kamal isn't the killer after all. That means Rachel has to rethink everything she thought she knew.
And that's what makes this terrifying, because she realizes she might have been blind to the truth the entire time.
But how does she figure it out? If she's been chasing the wrong person, what finally makes her see the truth?
It starts with something small, a memory from that night, something she never paid attention to before.
A memory of what? There has to be a reason why this detail suddenly stands out to her.
It's a scent, a familiar one. When she was stumbling near the underpass, dazed and confused, she caught the smell of soap and aftershave. At the time, it meant nothing, but now she realizes she knows that scent.
That's interesting. A scent is such a subtle clue, but it must belong to someone close to her. Does she immediately recognize who it is?
Not at first, but when she starts thinking about the men in Megan's life, the ones she suspected, the ones she never did, it hits her.
And who does she realize it belongs to?
And then, like a puzzle snapping into place, she finally understands. The scent belongs to Tom.
Tom? That doesn't make sense at first. Why would her ex-husband be involved in any of this?
That's what Rachel thought too, until now.
But there has to be a motive. What possible reason could Tom have for hurting Megan?
Because Megan wasn't just cheating on Scott. She was having an affair with Tom. And the baby she was carrying? It was his.
That completely changes the story. If Megan told Tom she was pregnant, he would have been trapped. He has a wife now, a new life. A baby with Megan would have ruined everything for him.
Exactly. And Rachel realizes this wasn't about love or jealousy. This was about control. Megan threatened to upend Tom's perfect life, and he couldn't let that happen.
That's terrifying. Rachel has been so focused on Scott and Kamal that she never considered the person closest to her.
And now, the worst part, Tom knows that Rachel has figured it out. And if he was willing to kill Megan to protect his secret, what do you think he'll do to Rachel?
If Tom killed Megan to keep her quiet, then Rachel's in serious danger, because he won't let her walk away with the truth. This just got so much worse. Rachel has been so focused on Megan's story, but now she's the one in danger.
Exactly. And she doesn't have time to process it, because the moment she realizes the truth, Tom catches her looking at him differently.
That's terrifying. He can tell she knows.
Yes, it's subtle at first. He watches her, his expression shifting. Then he asks, almost casually, "Rachel, what's wrong?"
That's chilling. He's testing her, trying to see if she'll admit what she's figured out.
And Rachel knows that if she says the wrong thing, she won't get out of this house.
Is she alone with him right now?
Yes, and it's the worst possible situation. Anna, Tom's wife, is upstairs with their child. Rachel can't just scream for help, because who would believe her?
So what does she do? She can't let Tom see that she's scared.
That's exactly what she tries. She forces a smile, pretends everything is fine. But Tom isn't stupid. He moves closer, lowering his voice, and says, "Rachel, I need you to sit down."
That's not a request, that's a threat.
Exactly. And in that moment, Rachel understands. He's done this before. This is how he controlled Megan. This is how he made sure no one ever found out the truth.
This is terrifying. She's trapped and Tom is completely calm, like he already knows how this will end.
And then, before Rachel can react, he grabs her.
Wait, what? He actually grabs her?
Yes. He tightens his grip and says, "You've had too much to drink, Rachel. You need to lie down."
Oh no, he's trying to discredit her, make it seem like she's just a drunk who's losing control again.
Exactly. And Rachel realizes something. This is how he's always won. He makes people doubt her. He turns her into the unreliable, pathetic ex-wife, so no one ever listens to what she says.
That's horrifying. He's not just trying to stop her, he's trying to erase her.
And now she has one chance to escape. If she doesn't act fast, she won't get another.
This is a nightmare. She's alone, she's vulnerable, and she's facing a man who has already proven he's willing to kill to keep his secret.
And the scariest part? Tom isn't worried. He's already decided how this ends.
This is terrifying. Tom isn't panicking because he thinks he's already won. He knows how to manipulate people, and Rachel is trapped.
Exactly. And Rachel knows she has to think fast. If she hesitates, if she lets him take control of the situation, she's done.
But how can she fight back? He's stronger than her, and no one would believe her if she screamed.
That's the scariest part. She realizes she can't just run. She has to outsmart him. So instead of pulling away, she leans into the act.
What do you mean?
She plays along. She lets her body go limp, slurs her words a little, pretends to be confused. She lets Tom think she's exactly what he wants her to be, a weak, pathetic drunk.
That's brilliant. If he thinks she's not a threat, he'll let his guard down.
That's what she's counting on. He sighs, loosens his grip just a little, and starts guiding her toward the couch. That's when she makes her move.
She fights back?
Yes. The moment he relaxes, she lashes out. She grabs a glass from the table and smashes it into his face.
Oh, that's brutal.
Tom stumbles back, caught completely off guard. He wasn't expecting her to fight back, and for the first time, he loses control.
This is her chance. She needs to run.
That's exactly what she does. She bolts for the door, fumbling with the lock, but Tom recovers fast. He lunges after her, yanking her back before she can escape.
Oh no, that was her best shot. If he catches her now, he won't make the same mistake twice.
That's what makes this terrifying. Rachel fights, kicking, clawing, doing everything she can to get free. But Tom is furious now. He's done pretending.
What about Anna? She's upstairs, right? Does she hear what's happening?
That's the only thing that saves Rachel. Anna finally comes down the stairs, confused by the noise, and what she sees shocks her.
This is it. Anna has to choose. Does she believe Tom or does she believe Rachel?
And that's the moment everything shifts.
This is it. Anna's the only person who can change how this ends. But after everything, will she really believe Rachel?
That's the question. For so long, Tom has controlled the narrative. He made Anna believe Rachel was a pathetic drunk, a liar, an embarrassment. But now, she's standing there, watching him physically attack Rachel. And for the first time, she sees Tom for who he really is.
That's huge, because once you see the truth, you can't unsee it.
Exactly. Rachel is gasping for breath, struggling to push Tom off, and Anna just stands there, frozen. Tom turns to her, his voice calm, but there's an edge to it now. He says, "She's drunk. She's out of control. Help me get her out of here."
He's still trying to manipulate her. Even now, he thinks he can talk his way out of this.
Because it's always worked before. He's counting on Anna to be obedient, to take his side without question.
But this time, it's different.
Yes, because Anna isn't just looking at Rachel. She's looking at Tom. The blood on his face from the broken glass, the rage in his eyes. And suddenly, she remembers all the little things. The way he dismissed her, the way he twisted stories, the way he made her feel small.
And she realizes Rachel isn't the problem, Tom is.
And in that moment, Anna makes her decision.
What does she do?
She disappears into the kitchen. Tom barely reacts. He thinks she's getting something to help him. But when she comes back, she's holding a knife.
I can't believe she went that far.
And she doesn't hesitate. She walks right up to Tom, and before he can even process what's happening, she stabs him.
That's insane. After everything, Anna is the one who takes him down?
Yes, because she finally sees him for what he is, a monster. He stumbles back, clutching the wound, eyes wide in shock. And for the first time, he's the one who's powerless.
I didn't see that coming, but it makes sense. The only way Tom loses is if someone he controls turns against him.
Exactly. And that's what finally ends it. As Tom collapses, Rachel and Anna just stand there, breathing heavily, realizing it's finally over.
That's intense. After everything, after all the manipulation, they are the ones who survive.
Because the truth always comes out. And in the end, Tom lost because he thought he was untouchable.
I can't believe it. After everything, after all the fear and manipulation, it's finally over.
Yes, but it doesn't feel like a victory. Tom is dead, lying on the floor, and Rachel and Anna are just standing there, trying to process what just happened.
That's the thing. After so much chaos, after so much fear, there's just silence.
Exactly. Rachel is shaking, her mind racing. She looks at Anna, who's still holding the knife, her hands covered in blood. Neither of them speaks for a moment. They just stare at each other, realizing what they've done.
What happens next? Do they call the police?
They have no choice. Anna finally drops the knife and grabs her phone. Rachel watches as she dials, her voice hollow as she says, "There's been an accident. My husband, he's dead."
That's such a chilling way to say it. Because it wasn't really an accident. It was a choice.
And that's the weight of it. Anna is finally free from Tom, but it doesn't feel like freedom yet. It feels like shock.
And Rachel?
She just stands there, overwhelmed. For so long she's been caught in a nightmare, drunk, lost, doubting herself. But now, she was right. About everything. About Tom. About Megan. About herself.
And that changes everything.
Yes, because Rachel isn't just the woman on the train anymore. She's not the unreliable drunk, not the forgotten ex-wife. She fought back. She survived.
That's powerful. Because the whole time, she thought she was just watching other people's lives. But in the end, she had to take control of her own.
Exactly. The police arrive, the scene turns to chaos. Flashing lights, officers swarming the house. But Rachel? She steps outside, takes a deep breath, and for the first time in a long time, she feels clear.
You know, I didn't expect this story to hit me the way it did. At first, it felt like just another mystery. Someone goes missing and people start pointing fingers. But by the end, it wasn't just about the crime. It was about how easily people believe what they want to believe. Rachel wasn't just fighting for the truth. She was fighting against how the world saw her. And that's what made this story so unsettling.
Exactly. The girl on the train isn't just about a missing woman or a dangerous man. It's a story about perception, truth, and how easily we can be manipulated by others and even by ourselves. Rachel thought she was just watching life from the outside, but in the end, she had to step in, face the truth, and fight for herself. Because the most dangerous lies aren't always the ones people tell us. They're the ones we believe. What do you think? Would you have seen through Tom's lies? Or would you have doubted Rachel like everyone else? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss out on more thrilling stories. There's always another mystery waiting to be uncovered.
Subscribe for more content.